Thank you, Sheva. How are you doing this morning, Sheva?
I'm good. We had a rough night. My little guy here, who is just like out of it,
Oh,
he is not good with thunderstorms.
with the storms.
Yeah, he has just been a mess.
We had a dog like that when I was a little girl. I need to go put a hat on. I didn't realize I was this rough, you guys. But
I'm rough today. I'm here with
I am too. I mean, I washed my hair, but I didn't put anything in it, and so I look like Florida Evans from Good Times when James died. Hi, Jennifer.
Hi,
Hi.
Jenny.
Hi.
How you doing?
Good, good. Except I can't, read emails right to see what time we're supposed to actually meet. I'm like, are we meeting today? And Sheva's like, yeah, 10:30. Like, okay,
Not
back to
good.
the coffee.
Yeah, well, thank you all for being here, and I'm not going to hold you long. It will not be until 12. I know that's what we originally we held space for. But as we kind of waiting on Lucien, I think.
Okay. And Marty, I don't think I've ever seen you look bad. So.
Oh, you remind me when I get some money to send some in the mail to you for that wonderful compliment.
No, I don't say things if I don't actually mean it. So.
Well, thank you. Well, let me just take my compliment and run. Thank you so much. I can't say I feel better. I don't necessarily look like I feel, because I really do feel a lot better. I think when you kind of get overwhelmed and you just pulling on your mind, and then your body starts to hurt, and then emotionally you are just rattled. I was all of those things from last week until probably yesterday. So I first want to say that you all deserve an award, and if I can give each of you all one, I present, and let me see if I can grab an award over here off the shelf.
I was thinking those sparkly magic.
I present this award to each of the team. Because if you was able to hang in there with me last week and still show up today, you are stronger than you will ever know. You are loved, you are resilient, you are appreciated, and I just cannot thank you enough, because not only, we have to just keep it real, is that when you just the idea of saying we're presenting on the world stage, can you imagine what it feels like holding the world on your shoulders? That's how I felt.
I know it.
I'm like, whatever I do, good, bad, or indifferent, the whole freaking world will see this. They will see it, whether they understand what I'm saying or not. They may not speak my language, but they will see that, oh, she was horrible, or oh, she, you know what I'm saying? She doesn't have this figured out, or she doesn't whatever, or that, oh wow, she's wonderful. However it was going to come out, it was going to come out. So I was carrying that on my shoulders. It was heavy, and I tried to just get through it, but I recognized I did not get through it alone. And even on Sunday, I wanted to convey that, but you are also already know that I had to kind of leave right away and rush to another meeting. And then we had to just we had to ungun as a team. And so I just kind of felt like we left the space kind of flat. And so I took yesterday off. Hi, Lucien.
Hi.
So I took yesterday off to mentally just kind of ungun and recharge myself, get back center. And so finally, I feel like freaking Marty again. And I have not felt like that.
That's good.
Woo! I have not felt like this in a little while. So thank you all for just being brilliant souls, just being wonderful individuals, God sent, and angels on earth. Thank you for that. Now let's get to what we need to get to. Sheva, I don't know if you feel like it. I don't want to throw anything at you unexpectedly. It's up to you. Would you like to kind of get us in a place where we're kind of moving and receiving everything at the same time? Would you like to do one of
Yeah.
your exercises with us?
So in other words, a blessing to set the
A
stage.
blessing.
Okay. Well, I would just love for us to just take a deep breath, raise your shoulders to your ears, and completely exhale. And let's ground ourselves into Mother Earth. And just feel all she's feeling, the good, the bad, the ugly. She's crying right now, and that's okay. We can be rooted in this because no matter what, she diffuses everything, and she can transform that muck into fertilizer, and may that next breath pull that radiance of Mother Earth, that fertilizer, that empowered fire back up through us. And just open your hands and bring it out again. And be able now to see that light from above.
Babe, I'm on my Zoom call. I have to call you back.
And
okay, bye-bye.
Bring that light down from the heavens and have it meet here in our heart, the link between Mother Earth and the divine light dwells in our hearts, so that we are the vessel of that divinity as it shines out, that meeting space between above and below. And may our words, our actions, and our thoughts be in alignment so that we are here in front of everyone with our full authenticity and integrity. And may truth be heard, may truth be spoken, and may the visions that are conjured here be reverberated out faster than the sound of light.
Yes.
When you're ready, come back.
That was good. That was good. Right when I was just about to get into it, I turned my light out so I can get into it. And then my husband called. I'm like, I need to ungun. No, that was good. Thank you so much, Sheva. Jenny, I don't want to put us on the spot, put you on the spot, but do you mind praying over us before we begin to verbally get into this? Thank you. And then Lisanne, when it's time to end, I'm going to ask you to pray us out today. Just giving you heads up, everybody. All right.
Okay. Lord, we come to you today and we thank you for this team, and we thank you for the mission of Ungun. And we ask, Lord, that you would just calm our hearts and clear our minds and help us to focus on what you want for us to do today. Help us to all be real with each other and always be truthful, but truthful in love. Please keep the enemy far from us and far away from your plans. And please help us to follow you in everything that we're doing here today, and help us to just see what your plans might be for each of us here today. And we dedicate this time to you, Lord, in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen, amen, amen. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right. This is how I would like to spend our time today. Ungunning. I want to try the program out on you. Are you all okay with that?
Mm-hmm.
All right, good. So, wonderful. I'm glad you said yes to that. Because I want you to have a good understanding of what that is and how that feels. And before I do that, I also want to start with each of you. Let me see. Sheva, how are you today, you said?
I'm good. I'm good.
You're
Little,
good. You're
little,
good.
you know,
So
like the
if,
weather.
if there was one word that you could describe how you feel today, I don't want you to think about yesterday. I don't want you to worry about tomorrow. And this is to all of you all. I want you to just simply give me one word that describes how you feel in this very moment at 10:39 a.m.
I feel resolved.
What does that look like? Give me a facial expression that will show me that you feel resolved. What does that look like?
Mm-hmm. Just like
Oh,
peace.
I don't want you to speak. I want you to just kind of really just think about if there was a facial expression, like again, you're in a room with people that do not speak your language, but you want them to know that you actually showed up on this Zoom call this morning and you feel resolved. And so what the word resolve says to me is that there was something you was concerned with or worried about or you needed answers to, and those answers came to you.
Mm-hmm. All right.
What does it look like? I want you to hold that. Hold in that space. That's what resolve feels like to you. I want you to also think about what else in your life needs to be resolved. What else, and you don't speak, I just want you to think about it. What else in your life you would like for it to be resolved? There may be something that you have been dealing with for a long time, that you've been seeking an answer for, not really completely getting the understanding, but you've been waiting for a resolution. You've been waiting to feel what you feel right now. And how awesome it would be when that finally comes, that you would be able to sit in this moment with it and feel what you feel. How important it is for you for it to be resolved. I want you to connect with that one thing. Do you see it? Do you see that one thing? That one thing has a name. You don't have to name it. I don't want you to speak it, but I want you to speak it internally to yourself. I want you to speak to it right now emotionally. And I want you to say to it, it will be resolved. You're not going to let it go until it is resolved. And you believe that once it is resolved, you will be able to move forward. And it will unlock a lot of the things that it has held you back from. But I want you to know that it's all in timing. It's all in timing, Sheva. God hasn't forgotten about you. And the answers that you're looking for, it's on its way. Now, when I asked you to show me what resolve looked like, and you gave me the face, I didn't believe that that was the face. But the face that you just gave me, I believe that that's the face of resolve. Because when you feel like I'm relieved, what I needed some clarity on has come, you should feel joy. And joy has a sense of gratitude attached to it, which should give you a sense of being relaxed and able to appreciate. And appreciation is usually showed up with a little bit of a smile. Now I believe you feel resolved.
Mm-hmm.
because resolved is attached to gratitude. So the reason that I wanted to thread that for you is that sometimes we just stay on the surface of our feelings. We stay with the word and we don't allow our body to align up with the action.
Mm-hmm.
So in other words, you felt resolved, but it didn't show. You see how it's important for the two to go together so that you can really own what you need to own, to feel what you need to feel, so that when that one thing that you really been waiting on to be resolved, when you feel that, you're able to see that, be emotionally attached to that, and that allows that spirit of being able to ungun. And only you can ungun yourself. See, I didn't want you to speak words because this is inner work. Only you can confirm what it's doing.
Mm.
But how you let us in on it, when we speak that common core language, we're able to see it on you. That's why you can tell when a person is traumatized, because you see it.
Mm-hmm.
Whether they're saying it or not, you see the trauma. I may not know what's wrong. And I may have to ask you what happened. But the connection that I have is the energy that we share. So yes, now I believe something's been resolved, because there's nothing standing in the way now of Sheva being able to move forward.
Yeah.
Jennifer, you're next. What's your word? What's your one word of how you feel today in this very moment at 10:46 a.m.?
I don't know.
I want you to sit and think about that for a minute.
Okay.
What if God asked us every single day, I'll wake you up if you wake up with the appreciation that I woke you up. And I won't wake you up today if you don't appreciate that I woke you up. What if God did, what if he put that as a requirement? Do you know how many of us would have died a million deaths? Because we take for granted that today is another day and oh well. And I wonder how that really makes God feel when he chose you to be breathing at 10:46 a.m. And if he was to ask you in this very moment, Jenny, how do you feel? And if your answer was, I don't know, how do you think it would, how do you?
One word is hard to come up with.
It is. It is, but it's a reason for that as well.
Yeah.
Because I want it to be attached to your emotion.
Maybe excited.
What is it?
Maybe excited.
Excited? What does excitement look like for you? Show it to me in your facial expression.
That's going to be a hard one. I don't know. I never look at myself in the mirror when I'm feeling excited, so I don't know. Maybe a little overwhelmed, like just in life. You know, excited.
How long you been married, Jenny?
21 years.
That day you got married. That day you said, I do. That day that you became Mrs. Marino. Is it Marino? Marino. That day you became, they announced your name in front of everybody. Introducing Mr. and Mrs. Marino. There it is. There it is. Yes. When you looked in your, yes, yeah. There it is. That's excitement.
Yeah.
That's excitement. Yeah. I believe you now. Yes. Jenny, you spend a lot of time feeling what you feel inwardly. And I highly suggest that you start working on it coming outwardly. It's not so much about using a lot of words to say what you feel. You don't have to say a whole lot of words. It's all, and I'm talking to all of us right now, it's all in how we show up.
Yeah.
It's how we show up. I was able to share with you all coming on here. I finally feel like I'm back to Marty.
Yeah.
And I did all of this because that's what Marty is. Marty is big. Marty is, she's overboard. My husband says all the time, you're over the top. I said, yes, and you're under the bottom. my husband is always somewhere down, just, he's a different energy, but he balances me.
Yeah.
So I'm way up here. He's sitting here like this, keeping it all calm and cool. And I'm all flying high, but we meet somewhere in the middle. And it works for us. It works for us in our marriage. It works. But what I invite all of us to enter into each other's world. So that's why ungunning is so important, that we do this on a global level at the same time, because what happens is that, Jenny, you don't have to be me. I don't have to be Lacian. Lacian don't have to be Sheva. Sheva don't have to be Christian. Christian don't have to be you. You see what I'm saying? But what we do, we can interact in a space together, and we can have greater appreciation for each other once we can speak that common core language and understand each other without you even having to say a whole lot of words. Because a lot of times when people are emotionally distressed, they don't even know how to speak the words. I can't even get my words. I couldn't get my words to tell you what was going on Friday. I had to have Sheva call and speak words to you, because I knew if I tried to speak words and it got emotionally attached to your words, that would have been in my head versus what I needed to show up and say. You know what I mean? So we want to kind of start reading each other's body language. And that's the beauty of art. When we can use the art even to do that, in which we're going to. We're all going to be artists in a minute, so get your pen and paper. Have that available in just a minute. So excited, I saw that, and I believe you, Jenny. Lacian, you're next on my screen. But I actually have Christian written down next, so I'm gonna come back to you, Lacian. Christian, sometimes the screens move around, I guess, depending upon what we end up doing. So Christian, how do you feel today? One word, sir. I can't hear you.
My fault, I was on mute, my fault.
That's okay.
One word. Anxious.
I'm going to receive that word because it's your truth. And I thank you for speaking your truth. But I'm going to also bring you back to, even the Bible says, to be anxious for nothing. So, but I appreciate your truth, because if you are anxious, we definitely want to get you to a place where you are living with less anxiety, right? So what does anxious feel like for you?
Like, it's just, I don't know, I just laugh about it because it's such my norm. Like, I just feel like it's sort of my new normal. So it's like, yeah.
So you said when you're anxious, it makes you laugh, is what you're saying? It makes you...
It's just a lot. So I just have to make myself smile just to keep myself from just like having a random anxiety attack or a crying spell or something like that.
Okay. Which is going to bring me to the second part of that in just a minute. So give me the look again. Anxious, when you're anxious, give me the look for you. Okay. Okay. So eyes a little bucked, little trying to zoom in, trying to just really see it, trying to understand. Is that pretty much how you starting to, you kind of feel? Okay. All right. Listen, what's your one word this morning?
Well, before I give my one word, I had talked to Christian a little bit, and I went to see my life coach yesterday, and that was the best I felt in a long time because she is a good woman of God, and I felt a lot of peace. I wish I felt that now, but I would say tense is my one word for right now.
Okay. And when you are tense, what does that look like for you? You're
The facial expression I pretty much have 90% of the time.
okay. 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 Sheva, we're back to you on resolved, and we have the look. What, Sheva, when you are feeling resolved, describe what that feels like. What's the feeling?
I'm a dancer at heart, so it's emotion. It's emotion.
I was going to say, you put your art in there. You put your art in. If you had to put words to it, if you can, and if you don't, and if you want me to go with that, I'm so okay with that.
Weight less. Weight less.
That's a good feeling. Okay. Jenny, being excited, and we saw your look. What does that feel like for you now when you are in a place of excitement? How does that make you feel?
Energetic, energized. Like I can't sit still, which tends to be my norm anyway, because I'm hyper. So,
Okay.
but I mean, it's a more positive can't sit still. It's not like an anxious can't sit still. So,
It's your place of creativity. You could be real creative today if you needed to be.
yep.
Because of that energy. Christian, being anxious, how does that make you feel? You unmute.
I hope you can't hear the dishwasher, but
Oh, you're fine.
When I like the feeling of anxious, like it feels like somebody's like throwing papers all over the place. Like it's just like so much. Like I have a stack of papers right here, but I'm not gonna throw them all over the place. But like it just feels like, yeah.
Just uncontrolled, maybe. I don't want to put words in your mouth. If you had to, but if you give me words, that's action. You gave me an action as to
like,
what.
I guess it's like like what Jenny has said, like the hyper, but for her it's good. For like me, it's like I find myself like pacing the floor like 1 o'clock in the morning. It's yeah.
Okay. All right. Lucian, for your tense mood and look, what does that feel like?
Heavy and dark.
Thank you. Sheva, for resolved and the look and the feeling being weightless, what is an action you could add today to your resolve that will keep you in that place?
So contrast is one word that represents beauty in art, but it represents how I know what I want because I conjure the opposite. So the opposite of weightless would be overwhelmed, overburdened. So I'm creating an anecdote to that, and I would put one thing. So for the rest of the day, I'll focus on one thing and not overwhelm my thought and my mind with placing focus elsewhere.
It's nice. Jenny, same for you. You're excited. We know the look. You're feeling energized. What is the one thing that you could do today, the action that will keep you there?
Maybe focus, being focused, staying, like Sheva was saying, for her, staying on focus. I have since I've got ADHD, the excitement can easily morph the wrong way into getting overwhelmed, like Christian, with all the stuff. So if like right now, I'm making myself focus, even though my brain is going, oh, you got to grade stuff. Oh, you got to do this. Oh, you got to go to the store. I'm trying to like make myself go, okay, you have to be here right now. You have to stay here. God help me focus on what I'm doing right now. So just intentionally, but I also want to get to my paint. So,
Okay.
so I already started playing with my paints this morning because I didn't, in the last couple of days, I haven't been able to. So I made a point this morning to get, read my Bible and get my paints out and be like, when you have a few spare moments, you're going to just do some practice.
Okay. Very good. Christian, your anxiousness, you were saying, shows up sometimes with you pacing, and you've been sitting here for a little moment now. So what is the action that will allow you to bring the anxiety down?
I guess really just discussing this right now about like my feelings. I really don't discuss my feelings a whole lot. I usually just go with them. I'm like, okay, I'm anxious. I'm all over the place. Okay, I'm just gonna go with it for today. But this is actually helping me calm down. It feels a little bit weird because it's not what I'm used to. I'm not used to sitting here actually talking about my emotions. But it's actually decreasing some of my anxiousness.
Good. Very good. Listen, being tense, we know the look, and you saying the tense feels heavy and dark. What is the one thing action-wise you can do today to make sure that you keep the heaviness and the darkness away?
Self-care.
What does that look like for you?
Following through on things that I need to, like making an appointment with my therapist, because I blew that off last time, and I thought need to go back and make sure that that's a priority.
Very good. Do everybody have a piece of paper and a pen or so? We're going to do 2 quick little art projects. There's no right or wrong. There's no judgment. There's no grade. This is release, is what it is. Draw a line halfway in your paper. Or it should be looking like that. Just draw a little line halfway. I think Christian might have went to go get pen and paper. He's back. Yeah. All right. At the top of the paper, If you were doodling based off of what you said you're feeling right now, what would you doodle? I said, I'm back to Marty. I'm finally feeling like I'm back to myself. So if I was to doodle that, what that feeling feels like, I want to draw something that represents that. Let's take a few minutes to do that. And remember, there's no right or wrong. And you don't have to be Picasso. So don't be embarrassed about what your doodling looks like. If you happen to be as good as Jenny, then wonderful. Link up with Jenny and let her teach you some art classes. But if not, just do your very best. What does that look like? I want you to be intentional about each stroke that you make with your doodling. And what I mean by that is I want you to think about how you said you felt. And I want that to represent your feelings. I want you to own it. Stay with your picture. Jenny spoke about focus, and that sometimes we move our minds in other places rather than staying with what we should be doing in the moment. As you're doodling, I want you to even feel the position of the pen or the pencil or the marker, the crayon, whatever you may be using. I want you to feel that in your hand as you intentionally make these strokes on the paper. Does your hand feel tight? Or are you pretty loose in your drawing? Is the picture coming together with the intentions that you're saying in your mind you want to draw? Is it looking like you want it to look? Or are you sitting in a place of judgment even as you're drawing the picture? Or are you just accepting what is? Do you feel the need to go back and do it again? Or are you okay with what you see? Do you understand that even when we show what we are actually drawing, yours will not look like anyone else's? And that's a good thing. There's no judgment. There's no grade. Do you understand that you have already accomplished the task because you decided to join in and just do it and get it done. You've already completed the greatest part of the work by saying yes to it. You've been drawing now for a couple of minutes. Notice your hand. Notice how now your creativity has picked up speed because you're putting your body in oneness. Your soul made the decision to do it. Your mind decided what you were going to doodle. And your body is the hand movement to get it done. You're operating in oneness in your body right now. And those things that you were once feeling, that you had named, was never even on your mind while you were doing it. Because your concentration became on your doodling. So that anxiety and that heaviness, Christian and Lucien, you were able to escape it for a moment because you decided to place your concentration in your creativity. And even if it was just for a brief 2 minutes, you moved away from a place that had you feeling heavy and had you feeling like you wanted to pace. The purpose of ungunning and taking 2 minutes out to align your body, mind, body, and soul, and have that moment of creativity is because it could take 2 minutes or less to decide to do harm to yourself or someone else. And when we learn how to feel what we feel, honor that, respect that, and like you said, Lucien, understand that our bodies or our minds is telling us we need self-care. You're learning to recognize certain things in your mind, in your body, in your spirit that it desires. Our body will tell us when we need a drink of water. Our body will tell us when we need to sleep, when we need to eat. What I want us to do is get to a place where we understand emotionally we need to listen to our body when it's telling us we need to ungun. It's a common core language that we need to establish with one another when words escape us, when our actions don't line up. We have people that will show up and do some things that we will say, what in the world is wrong with them? Why did they just do that? Not understanding that they needed to ungun, that somebody just needed to recognize that something has happened and it's causing them to show up in that way. I would much rather for us to get to a place that we start honoring people when they're hurt so that we can help them to be better. But we have established that when people are hurt and they show up in a manner that we don't want to see or we don't recognize, we push them further away versus bringing them closer to us. So, can I see your doodle doodle? Here's my doodle doodle. That's my little doodle doodle. Last week, I was a rose with thorns, deeply rooted, but then I blossomed into a flower. Yeah. Okay, explain yours, Jenny.
Well, I mean, because I have so much energy today. I was just and trying to show a picture.
Yeah.
Is not my forte. I just started out with like little zoomy things, little swirlies, and 'cause
I like it.
I don't really doodle that much. So, but then I went back to my flower things. So, because flowers are pretty much, I'm a gardener. I try to grow things. My husband mentioned the other day, he said, I wonder if you like painting flowers because there's no weeds.
But did you notice I put roots on mine?
Oh, let's see. Oh, very nice. I like that. That's very good.
Thank
I
you. I
like
love
it.
yours.
I like the
Okay,
curvy
let's
of
see
yours.
yours, Sheva.
So yeah, this is mine. Let's see, am I all on the screen here?
Uh-huh. Almost
So
looks like a tree.
yeah, I was thinking about what it felt like to be resolved, that chaos might be coming from above, it could be coming from below, it could be coming from all sides, but I breathed life. Like, and I was wanting to say, I was thinking about what I felt like. Am I breathing, or did I breathe in the past? And it's not breathed. I really felt like there was breath. Like, so.
It's alive.
Yeah, the breath felt like it landed in a place that was central and solid and rooted, where I'm still open to hearing and knowing what other, like it wasn't a closed circuit. So there's things coming in and out, but I feel a sense of balance and focus. And that's why there's symmetrical design. The design is simple, thin, untextured, for a feeling like there's a smoothness in my emotions.
That's interesting. And as you were explaining that and then showing it to us, I saw where there's still room for things to come in and still exit out. So it's almost like you want to stay resolved. So so if something comes in that I don't want it to be there, I want it to be able to exit out. I saw that in your picture too.
Yeah, and that's why I said breath. Like, I didn't want to take it out of the present tense.
Yeah.
Because I think that the process of breath and focusing on breath really allowed me to remember that it's in constant motion, and that's how chaos or confusion or worries or past hurts or memories. Yeah.
Yeah. You really are a dancer. So
everything as choreography. I was telling Felicia that, yeah, I've always been a choreographer. Like, that's really, I just don't have the body to do it, but I see everything as a dance performance.
I love it. That's good. That's good stuff. That's good. Listen, I'm gonna jump over to you, Christian. I'll make you last. Let's see yours. Wow. So you have a rose like me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you have thorns like me. All right, now get me to the bottom. Tell me what that's meaning with the house and.
Oh, well, the rose first, I just thought you was talking about how I feel, and the heavy, I just felt like everything's in a circle. And then I thought, oh, that kind of looked like a rose. So I thought I can turn it into something positive, because I sure wasn't thinking that when I started. And I thought about my grandmother, her name was Rosie, and how a rose seems resilient. And stumbling through Christianity, that's the name and kind of how I want my logo for my podcast I'm starting next month. And I want a house, so I have a sanctuary that had never been important to me. And then I thought about this exercise when you were saying pay attention to our body. I used to go to AA, NA, and all those other recovery programs, and they say halt, pay attention when you're too hungry, angry, lonely, and tired. And I've been thinking maybe it's time to go back, because it's like I didn't want to listen back then. I thought, oh, I'm a teenager, I don't need this stuff. I just want to be a bitter person, and that's it. And maybe I could be more open to what they were saying now, instead of just talk to the hand.
Good. That's good. That's and my goodness, you gave me a whole lot more than what I was even asking for. So you really are tapping into ungun and listening. Good for you. That is, look, you know what this means. When I give hearts on the screen, that's a really big thing right there. Good. Okay, Christian, what do you have?
Okay, well, mine was just pretty simple
Let's
stuff.
see it.
Like I thought about, so
I can barely see it. Okay, there we go. Wow, that almost looked like fireworks. Tell us what you think in there. I love that doodling
Okay.
because I can't necessarily see it and interpret what you're thinking. So I'm all ears to hear you. You're freezing. Can you hear us?
Okay, so the air.
You're kind of freezing in and out. If you can hear me, you're freezing.
Hello?
Okay, try again.
Hello?
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So the arrows, like, cause my anxiety's coming down. So that's what made me draw the arrows. And then of course the line that you said halfway. And then like I thought about like in the hospitals they have when you're breathing, like the little things that go up and down, up and down. So instead of them being like all the way up here, like when I'm anxious, they're like, okay, they're like constant. They're constant. And then these are sort of like just like fireworks, because I'm glad I'm sort of starting to come down in my anxiety. So
I love it. I love it. Now, on the second half of that paper, energy, you all, is just like disease. Be contagious, so can energy. And we all drew 5 different pictures. But when we went to explain what we drew and when we saw what we actually drew, we connected with each other through energy. And we didn't even talk about it ahead of time, right? It just kind of happened. I want you to write down who you connected to. I heard some words that we started describing, and some of you all use some of the same words. I saw very similar pictures. So who energy were you connecting to in this space? What did you see some of the same? Um,
Dr. Marty,
Mhm.
Could I ask for clarification?
Mhm.
Are you looking for a drawing or
Mm-mm.
a set of
No words.
words?
Yep, words like anything that you saw where the drawings either overlapped or your words overlap when you were describing your drawing, or anything like that. Something you seen or something you heard.
So the
I'll give you a prime
intention.
example. Lucien and I both had thorns on our
Ooh,
flowers.
okay.
We both had thorns. You could see that. We both had
So
thorns.
what you're saying is consider the commonality.
Yeah. Find the
Okay.
overlap. And what the overlap represents is energy and being in the same space, that even when you haven't discussed it, automatically the emotions of individuals is show up in that space, and you're going to always find an overlap. Okay. So I'm going to start with you this time, Sheva. If you could name one thing, just one thing that you saw or heard that was an overlap in this space.
Nature.
Nature. Who did you feel represented nature?
I saw it in all of us. We all had somewhat of a baseline representing ground. There was a commonality of groundedness in all of our images.
Good. Christian, name one thing that you saw or you either heard and overlap with. Commonality.
A sense of like, I guess, like, cause like me and Jenny, we like she said something about hyper, and I sort of related to that because I can't even say sort of. I related to that because I guess that's what it can look like if I'm pacing the floor, or if I feel like papers is going all over the place. Like
Mhm.
yeah.
Okay, very good. Lucien?
Okay. I guess I'll go with the flower theme. I don't know if y'all can read my writing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then after I thought about it, because I even put Christian, because he put red, and I thought I didn't color my rose, but in my mind, my rose was red. And it made me think about a organization I wanted to start called Lois, and I had picked the blue rose for Lois, and the red rose would have been from, I guess, because my grandmother, I don't know, she always had red roses, and her name was Rosie. And I thought, isn't that something that when I be still for a minute, it leaded me back to Lois, Ladies of Inspirational Success, based on Timothy, because his grandmother, inspired him. And I thought, wow, wonder what would happen if I learned how to sit still for a while.
Ungun. If you learn how to ungun, Lucien, say it with me. Very good. And Jenny?
Okay. I had different things for everybody. I was kind of on the same page with Sheva with the nature theme, although that wasn't the first thing that I wrote down. I mean, I connected with Christian regarding anxiety, and with Listen, the need for self-care. Um, Sheva practicing letting go of the negative, and you, Marty, with feeling more grounded and more like yourself now.
Very good. Well, for me, based off of the pictures and the drawings, I said that me, Jenny, and Lucienne, we all drew flowers. I noticed that Christian and Sheva, they both used the word breathe or breath in their descriptions. Jenny, Christian, and Sheva, you all had swirlies of some sort in your pictures, and they all represented something different, but you still, it was the motion of the swirl that I noticed in the three of you all. And then me and Lucienne had thorns. And I don't know about you, Lucienne, but my thorns, I only drew them in my first flower where the bud was tight. And this flower is, I drew it where the bud was real tight, because that's where I was feeling very closed in last week, very tight, very short, very, but then once I was able to release, then my flower came out, and then my thorns were not as noticed. So that's, for me, that meant something. So this is what I want you to do. I want you to keep this image this doodling, this simple doodle that you just did. I want you to keep it in your head emotionally. When you start to feel that heaviness, Lucienne, and I'm more concerned about you and Christian, because based off of how you're feeling today, the two of you in this very moment need to ungun. Last week, I really needed to ungun. This morning, Sheva needed to ungun. You know what I'm saying? She needed that place of resolve. And Jenny, I would imagine on Friday, she needed to ungun. You know, like, I'm preparing for all this, and then not, boom, it went boom. So emotionally, we all feel the exact same thing, but at different times. And that's the connection that we need to make with everyone around the world with ungunning. Today, in this very moment, it's Lucienne and Christian, in this very moment. But then this morning, it was Sheva. Yesterday, it was me. Friday, it was Jenny. It's like clockwork. But the bottom line is, when we all learn this common core language and actions, when it's needed, it's there for us. It's things that we know to do, and then we know how to show up for each other. So if I was to call you tomorrow, Christian, and I'm asking you how you feel, and you like, Dr. Casey, I still feel like I just want to throw papers in the air. Immediately, I'm going to say the same thing. Tell me one word that describes how you feel. Because see, what I want to do, Christian, is get you to thinking about your emotion. It's not so much for me to tell you what to do and how to do it, but it's for me to take you on the inside of yourself, so you can begin to connect with your emotion, tap into it, and allow yourself. In this short little process, in less than 10, 15 minutes, Lucienne, you said, wow, who knew that if I just sit still and I kind of go over this is what you start thinking about your grandmother, which you haven't said to me, but it's clear to me in what you have already described and what you've done. You have allowed your grandmother to enter into your mind of memory, your sense memory, which she was that one person, I believe, that you could always depend on, that loved Lucienne right where Lucienne was. It didn't matter if Lucienne was feeling heavy, dark, or anything else. Your grandmother, Rosie, she was that one that, baby, come here. You know, grandma love you. You know, I got you. I'm not going to let nothing happen to you. That's what Grandma Rosie was to you. That's why when you felt this, and in ungunning and putting your hand on that trauma bullet today, you couldn't touch that bullet and not think of grandma, because it's all connected. It's all connected. So if there's anything that I can say to you today, Lucienne, I am not trying to step in a position of your therapist. I'm not trying to step into the position of of any of the other organizations that you need to go sit with. If God is telling you to do that, I want you to do that. But this is what I want you to keep in mind, Lisanne. If you can't reach your therapist, if those organizations are closed that day, I want Lisanne to know how to ungun and get herself back emotionally centered. And the one thing that you just shared with me and all of us, Grandma Rosie is that person. Grandma Rosie is with you even though she's not here anymore. She's with you. When you feel that heaviness, you stop. And now what I want you to do is, which is what we're getting ready to do right now. I want you, Lisanne, in particular, to write Grandma Rosie a letter today. I want you to write her a letter. That's why I wanted half of the page, but go to your next piece of paper. And this is what I want you to do. I want you to write Grandma Rosie a letter. Jenny, I had to ask you about what it was like for you that day when you married Mr. Marino, what that felt like. And I couldn't see your excitement till I brought him up. So I want you to write him a letter. Sheva, I want you to write a letter to the dancer you are. I want you to speak to that place. You're that choreographer that's getting ready to have the biggest show on Broadway. And I want you to write a letter and speak to that. Christian, I want you to write a letter to self. And I want you to tell yourself that you are good enough. You are the best. You are in control of everything you need to be in control of, and everything that you decide is going to come out all right on the other side because you love you. I'm enough. Write your letter to self. I'll give you a few minutes while I go get me something to drink, and I'll be back. Have fun ungunning. 1 minute. All righty, all righty, all righty. Where's everybody? I had to go get me some popcorn and Pepsi. I had to, these are two of my favorite things. You can always go back and finish your letter. Again, the one thing that I love about this type of work is that there's no grade, there's no right or wrong. It's in the doing. It's just in the doing. And so because this is self-work, even if you don't finish it in my timing, you can always go back on your own timing and finish it. And the fact that you would even go back to finish it will say a whole lot about you and the self-care that you're accomplishing for yourself. You want to get it done. You felt it working, and so you will go back and you will do this. This is this kind of stuff I had to do yesterday to center myself. So anyway, yay, I'm excited. I can't wait to hear some letters. Who wants to go first? Unmute yourself and talk. Don't everybody unmute at one time. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, go. Uh-oh, I got to start calling names. Come on, somebody unmute.
All right, I'll go.
Okay.
Okay, so found it very interesting. You said to write to the choreographer. Okay, so yeah, very inspiring. How did you know? Okay, I'm just gonna leave that question to be rhetorical. Dear dancer, spirit, visionary, you designed a beautiful performance that you are unable to participate in. You are physically limited from demonstrating at the ground level the vision you have. I see that you are in the role of directing because you feel it deeply, you know it deeply, yet you cannot demonstrate it. You must pass the baton of your vision on to the director. Know who will then describe your bird's eye view of the piece. I recognize it is sad to let go of the vision at this point. However, once you offer it up to the director, your part is complete and you must let go. Feel such profound gratitude for the divine imagery you were honored to share. Feel complete in your contribution. Know that in your heart, the director will add in his or her own interpretation, as you have been off the dance floor long enough that you may have forgotten or not perceived some of the logistical aspects needed, but know in your heart that you feel complete, satisfied, and validated.
Ooh. You wrote that letter to the choreographer,
Mm-hmm.
but who was that letter speaking to? Or what was it speaking to? Because that letter was very multi-layered.
Oh, yeah. Must I spell it out? Okay.
Ungunning, baby.
Girl, you're so perceptive. Ooh. Um, yeah, I think that's my role in ungunning. You know, the one who has the vision of what the bird's eye view of how the piece will unfold, and seeing all the parts, and just like how it will look like music and perfection. But the little part in me that wants to meddle into the perfectionistic little details, that's the director's job. And I won't know. I find myself coming to terms with what I can offer and what I can't offer. And even though it's heartbreaking to always acknowledge I'm no longer a dancer, I have to accept that as truth. And I'm also not the producer of the performance. I'm just the choreographer. And I think that's what my higher self is looking to say in the Ungun program, that I'd love to be the choreographer, and that I have enough wisdom to stay in my lane and know my part, and be able to confer with the producer and the director, but know that once I hand that baton off, that I can feel satisfied and trust wholeheartedly that how it looks on the ground level, and what exactly the kids will be doing and how they will be doing it. I won't really be able to meddle in at that point. So that I think that's speaking to me as a teacher. I'm no longer a teacher. I'm no longer actively teaching, but I am in a visionary space right now in consulting with other visionaries at the moment. That's what I've been doing. And when I heard Dr. Marty's vision for this, I didn't really know what my role would look like, but it sure does sound like the choreographer bird's eye view is the part that resonates the most. The program. Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow, Seven.
The pen never lies. The pen never lies.
It never lies. It never lies when it is lined up with the mind, body, and soul. Excuse me one moment. What's going on? Oh, that's what's going on. Hi, going on? My mom's in a meeting. How you doing now? Oh, okay. Thank you. All right. Who's next? Go ahead, Christian. Come on off.
Can you hear?
I can hear you.
Okay. So it says, "Dear Christian, you are an absolutely amazing person with a heart of gold. You know what you want, everything you need, and you want and you desire. Christian, you're going to be okay no matter what happens to you. You are intelligent, beautiful, with a heart of pure gold. You are enough and you are loved, and this is just the beginning of your story. You are precious, and take time for yourself."
Very nice. Do you believe that? Do you believe what you've actually written today?
Yes, and it sort of feels sort of foreign to say yes. I believe that I am a good person with very, 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 very good intentions. And I do have a heart of gold. It was sort of weird that like Sheva said, the pen never lies when it says take time for yourself. I don't take a lot of time for myself. I really don't. Like, I'm constantly helping others. And I don't mind it. I love it. I don't mind helping other people. But sometimes it begins to get a little bit emotionally draining at some points. I constantly like, okay, well, I'm constantly running to this service or trying to sing at this or, you know, be with the family during their time of bereavement and do this and do that. It becomes like, wow. You know,
because that's the way. I want to jump in real quick and share this part with you, Christian, because there's a couple of things I need you to do to stay ungunned. One, you show up in that manner because that's the one way that people have not shown up for you.
Have not what?
They have not shown up for you. People have not people have not been running to your aid when you needed them the most. And so you run to other people's aid because that's the one thing you desire. Also, it becomes overwhelming because what happens is if you are constantly allowing people to withdraw from you in your bank being your emotional house, people can come and withdraw. Christian, I need you to come sing. Christian, I need you to help me do this. I need you to write this for me. And I need you to help put the program on at the church. And I need you to whatever. They're constantly pulling on you, withdrawing. What bank do you think can operate if there's always been withdrawals and never any deposits?
They're going to have a big fee.
Yeah. You need deposits. You need someone to deposit back into you. So when you feeling all of that anxiety is because you're off balance. You're in the negative. And your body is telling you, oh my gosh, you're going everywhere. You're doing everything. You're pacing your way because you can't keep up with everything everybody's demanding of you because you're showing up for everybody. You're not showing up for yourself. So you're living in a state of confusion. You have to slow down and self-care. Yes, the pen did not lie to you. But you also made the pen say something that you have not been willing to do. You know the answers, Christian, but prayer without works is dead. I want you to do what you actually said. I didn't write that on the paper, you did. Your mind and your body told you what you emotionally need. Give it what it needs. Every day you wake up in the next 7 days, before you put your feet to the floor, read your words. So when you put your feet to the floor, do what you said. Do it for you, because you do have a heart of gold. You are worthy, but you need as much love as you've been given. And when you speak that into existence, that's what's going to show up. The next 7 days, before you put your feet to the floor, you read your words to yourself so that you can do. Okay? Who's next? Who's next?
I guess I'll go next. We kind of already knew my letter was to grandma, and I can't hardly read my writing, but I'll just focus on the good parts, that she provided sanctuary, encouraged me to have a relationship with God, told me stories, made me laugh, made me feel valuable and safe, tried to help me. And I ended with, I should have listened to her about men saving and credit, because that's some of my biggest problems right now. Well, I guess, yeah, chasing men might have something to do with why I ain't got no savings and credit yet. So don't lie. And I thought I ended with love you always. So that's it.
Very good. What I heard in that was saying, you ended it like a letter, but you wrote it like a list, which tells me you are having a hard time emotionally connecting to yourself. I encourage you, and I pray I inspire you to, when we get off the Zoom call, that you write a letter to your grandma. I want you to talk to Grandma Rosie. And I want you to do it through your pen. You wrote that, you made a list because you're not ready to publicly share with us what you really need to say to Grandma. And it's okay. It can be just between you and her. But she is your safe place. She knows you. She feels you, and she watches over you. And right now, that heaviness and that darkness is the disconnect that you have between heaven and earth. I need you to talk to Grandma today. I believed you on that love you, the last part that you said. What did you say that on that letter? What did it say?
Love you always.
Say it again.
Love you always.
Say it one more time.
Love you always.
And she will always love you. But this time I want you to talk to her. Don't make a list about what she did. Talk to her through that letter, because she's waiting to hear from you.
Okay.
Jenny.
Okay. Mine was to my husband, who isn't in the room right now, so that's fine, because that seems kind of weird to me. Dear John, it's amazing that after 21 years, you still bring out the joy and excitement in me. When Marty asked me to write a letter, it seemed odd, but it's a good idea. You still make me laugh with your silliness and challenge me to grow every day. You truly are my sunshine, and I praise the Lord for bringing us together. I love you always, Jenny.
Love you always.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what that said?
That's what I
Love
said.
you always.
I love you always.
You are here again. Do you hear the energy and how we connect with one another when we emotionally tap into that space of energy? But the same disconnect that Lucienne has with talking to her grandma, you have talking to your husband, and you live with your husband every single day. 21 years is a long time. And it's a beautiful accomplishment. But I want you to get to a place where your flower in your marriage looks like this one, not this one. To validate your feelings of writing a love letter to your husband, you had to mention, Marty asked me to do this. It's not about me. None of this that I've asked you all to do is about me. It's about you. So I'm going to ask you again too, Jenny, later on today when you find time after shopping and painting and whatever, make sure you get a nice love letter going, please. There's no right or wrong. But if I don't feel like you are really, truly grabbing your trauma bullets and pulling them out successfully, I will keep pushing you. That's what I do. That's how I help you ungun. That's how I help you to connect better with yourself, because if you can't connect with yourself, you will never connect with others. If you find yourself constantly having to explain yourself or running away from things that you can't explain, there's some trauma bullets you need to deal with. We're going to go ahead and wrap this up, but I would like to hear from each of you as to how you're feeling right now after you've gone through a little bit of what Ungun is like. Do you understand it a little bit better? Did it help you? Did it not? Do you like it? You don't. I don't want to put words in your mouth. I just want to hear from you. Whoever would like to go first, please begin.
I'll go.
And I have one last little part I want to do with you, but I would like to hear this now. So who's first?
I'll go.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say it was funny because at the beginning, Sheva was talking about resolved, and I thought she was meaning something totally different than, you know, as it got on and she went. But I thought, man, I'm tense and I would like to be at the resolved place. I need to be, you know, walking toward that, because I thought we kind of seemed like Rey and Kylo Ren, and I'm Kylo Ren, of course. But in the end, he tried to be a good guy a little bit. So hopefully it don't take that long for me. But I thought that was interesting. But yeah, I think this was helpful, because I know you had told me before I should journal, and I thought, ain't nobody got time for that. I'm, you know, and I half colored my picture, and I saw my other picture, and I thought I ain't even started coloring that one. And I'm thinking maybe it really is important. I keep saying I don't have time to do the self things like affirmations and journaling, and you know, it's like I ain't got time for that, but it really is important, and I guess I need to make time for it.
Do you understand ungunning a little better?
Yeah, it definitely makes a little more sense. Not that I think I didn't feel like I mean, I didn't know what the individual process is. I just, you know, from the get-go, I thought it was a good idea. But I would say I see how Ungun Institute and Healing the City kind of have now went together instead of being separate things. But that's a whole nother thing.
Can I also say to you, and when the others come off mute and speak, if they agree, they can chime in. But you have a totally different energy now than you did when we first came on this phone. That darkness and that heaviness that you appeared to be carrying is no longer surrounding you. You're present. You're present now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who's next? Christian, go ahead.
Well, I guess after this, I got a little bit emotional, because it's just,
I saw that.
um,
Then came out your glasses. You was about to cry so hard.
right. Right. And I usually don't express my emotions in front of people. Like, especially like crying and stuff. I'll wait until I'm alone and wait till I'm like on the edge and I'm like, oh, I gotta go because I gotta do something and I gotta go cry. But I'm glad that I am a part of this program. I feel like I not only could help others, but help myself as well. Because I think I've been hurting too long. Been hurting a lot of years. A lot of why questions. A lot of commas and not enough periods. It sort of did stir up my emotions today. And I'm glad I'm going to definitely read this for the next 7 days and probably after 7 days. Because I do need to take time for me. I do need to take time so I can be in a good headspace. Not only when I'm going to see about families and singing and different stuff, but just for myself. And I've even expressed this like to Lucia. I said, sometimes I feel like I'm ministering to others so much that I can't even minister to myself. I said, and then that's an issue because I don't want anything I do on this earth to be in vain. I do it out the kindness of my heart, just the pure, no thank yous, no nothing. You don't even have to tell me thank you. But in the same sense, I don't want to be doing it in vain either. And I feel like, why have I been doing it in vain?
I don't think you've been doing it in vain, Christian, but I think that you've been doing it with a lot of trauma bullets inside of you. And so therefore, if you show, especially as a singer, because I sing, we're messengers. So when you're showing up and you're singing a song that has a message that others should feel, and also you should be ministering to them through that song. If you're full of trauma, then you singing from a place of hurt versus a place of deliverance.
And that's honestly, I feel like.
And you've ever been around somebody, you're not upset, but they start crying and then they make you cry because their emotion, their energy jump off on you because you don't want to see them hurt. So that for the empathy that you feel for them, it begins to make you cry. Well, it's the same thing. We have to be careful when we do certain work. That's why I was saying ungunning for me, I want to reach the world leaders first because those are the decision makers. Those are the ones that if we don't get them to a place of healing, everything that they do will trickle down to us. And by the time it gets down to the children and those who really need the work the most, they really are not, they're not getting the pure sugar that they need. It's diluted. It's you know what I'm saying? It's not at its pureness because people who's creating it have created it from a place of where they wasn't healed.
And you can't serve from an empty cup.
You cannot serve from an empty cup.
And I feel like that's probably where I've been doing. Like I got people that tell me you can tear the house down and you can sing a song till everybody in the room is crying. And it's like, yeah, thank you, but I feel empty. If you only knew that I'm walking around feeling like a zombie, but when I get up here, I'm not even singing out of place of, and that just really reminded me, I'm not singing out of a place of happy joy. I want you to get delivered. Now, I do want that to happen, but in the same sense, I'm singing out of a place of sad.
Yeah, even probably the songs you attracted to are songs of sadness, so to speak. And I don't know that because you know what I'm saying, but I'm just saying,
it's very true. And
I would believe that.
True.
Yeah, I would believe that. And so I highly recommend you do that work that I suggested and do that for yourself. You go longer than 7 days, that's fine. But really within 7 days, if you do that, it should become automatic. It should be something that you don't have to continue to say anymore. You just operate from. I don't do the same things that I once did for myself because I just know what to do. That's why I'm able to create a program like this, because it just becomes natural now. But however long it takes for you to do it, do that for self. Good. Sheva, I saw you going next. You came off of mute. Did you want to go next, or was that Jenny? Whichever one. Who's next?
Sorry, I'm starting to fade. I am. Could you refocus what I'm saying?
So the question is, how did you feel doing all of this today? Do you feel like it's something that's helpful, or what are you feeling? I don't want to put anything in anybody's. How did you feel?
Yes. Wonderful. So being the instructional supervisor I am, I take notes. Like I can't see things just at surface level. I see it from, okay, now how can I re-implement this, and how is this working, and what was it that made this really effective, what needs improvement. I just can't turn that part of my brain off. So
That's good.
so I took notes like, oh, I really like this part. Oh, this part might need a little tweaking. But the overall program is amazing, and it's right in alignment with exactly how I envisioned it to be. So yeah, I really want to share with you what I had been doing, with my sensory focus program and my intention sessions, because there's some overlap. I want to really make sure that I'm not, again, I want to stay in my lane. And
can we talk about that then, maybe after me and you have a
yes, so that's what I'm trying to say. Maybe a private conversation would be better, but
we can do that.
I love the format, and I'm impressed with your what over the top surprised and impressed me was your perceptive need, the perception of what each individual you're working with needs in order to heal. And that is an invaluable asset that is called intuition. And it's hard to teach, but it is naturally apparent in you. And I just want to praise that.
Thank you, Sheva. I appreciate that so much. Thank you. And we'll talk. If you feel up to it after this, we can talk. Okay. Jenny?
I think the exercises were very, very helpful. And Christian, I'm kind of like you. I want to help everybody and don't always take time for myself. And just because of my past, I kind of got taught growing up that showing your emotions was a bad thing. So even though I'm trying to learn how to get past that, you know what I mean? So, I mean, Marty, the reason I was just kind of, when I had put, well, Marty asked me to write this letter because, I mean, I don't always take a lot of time to just think about how I'm feeling unless I'm really upset about something. And usually it's something outside of myself, not inward. Because looking inward is scary, And then God kind of reminded me of this verse where he talks about in Luke 6, where he talks about, and in this context in the scripture, he's talking about being judgmental of people. But it came to my mind about how Jesus talked about, people pointing out flaws in other people but then they have this big old flaw in themselves. And I kind of, even though it's not in the actual, totally how Luke meant it, but kind of the, like you were saying, how can I help others if I'm not willing to look inside and see, okay, what do you have? Because I mean, I know I've got trauma bolts in there still that need to get pulled out. But that's scary work, you know, but just trying to, you know, realizing that I can handle it, even though the little girl in me is like, no, I don't want to go there. That's too scary. Let's go do something else and you know what I mean? Kind of, you know. So, I mean, I'm still excited. I mean, the format that you did it, you know, trying to help somebody looking inside themselves. I think that method is really good because it isn't easy for people because we tend to look outside of ourselves. So, I mean, I think that exercise was very well done. And yeah, I mean, I'm still, you know, pretty hyper. I'm a little bit less hyper. My medicine kicked in, so. but you know, I still think this is definitely where God wants me to be, and he's going to push me outside my comfort zone.
That's
you know,
good.
You know,
And thank you, Jenny, for saying that. Thank all of you all. First of all, thank you all for going inside of yourselves, because that's what makes us all better people. And it's the excitement for me is to know that as many people as we can get to do this, to do simple stuff like this, then the more we are bringing joy to the world for real. You know, we sing that song, Joy to the World, but every time it comes around to sing around Christmas season, holiday season, I don't necessarily buy it because I'm thinking about how many deaths, how many people that got killed, how many people been hurt, how many people walking around on the edge ready to commit suicide or what have you. And it's like, but we sing the song, we show up Christian and we sing those words, joy to the world, like we just really mean it. And we don't. I really want to see us bring joy to the world, but we first have to have people find joy for themselves. So this is the very last little part of this, and then I'm gonna let you all go. And there's many little exercises that I do. It just depends upon the people, the room, however many, and because I do collective exercises. Of course, this is all new for me because I'm so used to being in the room with people, really being able to kind of touch and move them and do different things to, you know, make them feel what they need to feel. Doing this from Zoom, I wasn't sure if it was going to work or not. So you all are my first Zoom people to have really tried this out on. Yeah. So, and the good news is I'm getting to know each of you all. I have not been knowing any of you all very long. And that's the beauty of this today, because it's not like somebody said, yes, I felt this because you just feel like you just love me so much. You really had to be honest about what you're thinking, you know? So, all right. So this is the last little part of this. This is what I call the 5 senses test. And of course, you know what the 5 senses are: things that you see, you smell, you touch, you hear, you taste. And I want to do the 5 senses test on you real quick. So where there's a blank, you answer the question, okay? You insert the word. When I see blank, I smile. When I see blank, I smile. When I hear good news about others, what do you do? And be honest. This is, again, this work is about being honest. Everybody, sometimes people, and I'm just gonna say this, sometimes people hear good news about others, and if they're not in a good place, it's hard for them to hear. I remember if I can be so transparent, my best friend at the time, she was getting married. That was my best friend. We did everything together. We went on trips together. We did everything. And she was getting married, and I wasn't even dating anybody at that time. I was not happy. I was standing up there as one of those bridesmaids you wanted to throw a shoe at. I mean, I was maid of honors. I mean, I was like, I started crying and everything, singing a song to her. And I was like, why did I cry? It was because I felt like I was losing my best friend. I was not happy for her that day. How selfish of me. But being transparent and sitting in those real feelings, sometimes that's part of being human. Sometimes we're jealous. Sometimes we're angry. Sometimes we're happy. It's okay to be those things, but I want you to not sit there. I want you to be able to ungun yourself and get out of it when you need to. That's the thing. So, but be honest. When I hear bad news, I'll give you another example of another friend of mine. Her husband died. They got married, and they was only married 4 months before her husband passed away. It was devastating to her. And day and night she cried, and I tried to be that friend to be there for her every single moment I possibly could, you know, and it got to a point that it was wearing me down emotionally. And I remember on New Year's Day, I had to just finally call her. Like, her husband died in September, and every day I had been there for her. When I say every day, I mean every single day. And on New Year's Day, I had to give myself some self-care, and I had to find the words to say to her, I love you, but I love myself enough to know that I can no longer sit in this space with you. It is draining to me. And I want you to get the help that you need. I support you from afar, but right now I've taken on your emotion, and I need to see about myself. We're still friends. I was honest. It was hard for her to hear in that moment, but I had to do it for myself. So when you hear bad news, when I smell blank from my childhood, I remember blank. When I smell blank from my childhood, I remember blank. My most distinctive smell is gasoline. Sheva knows this. When I smell gasoline, which was probably 50 cents or 75 cents a gallon back then when I was a child, and my great grandfather would always, you know, get a full tank of gas before we go, like maybe over to St. Charles to go get our fireworks for the 4th of July. So every time I smell gas, it reminded me of going somewhere special with my family, being on that road trip. Hold on one second. Morgan, I'm on a Zoom call. I have to call you back. Morgan. When I taste blank, I feel better. Dr. Casey, any kind of snack, including this popcorn. I'm an emotional eater, so I do a lot of snacking, which is not good for me, but I recognize that about myself. The reason I'm sharing this with you is because when I find myself doing a lot of snacking, it also tells me, even if I haven't admitted it to myself, I'm an emotional mess. So this is one of those things where if you were around me all day and you see me probably just randomly eat 3-4 different snacks, whether I say it or not, you could stop and say, Dr. Casey, what happened? You okay? You want to talk about it? What are you talking about? Well, I mean, you've had cookies, crackers, Cheez-Its, popcorn. You've had... So whether I admit it to you or not, you can see it on me. You know what I mean? Oh, that's why this kind of stuff is important. All right.
We would be together.
Hmm?
We would be snacking together.
Oh, see what I'm saying? Right.
With the
But this,
with my
like me
pet.
eating popcorn right now, and let me say this too, it's also, it also has become a part of my creativity. So I think and eat at the same time. Like if I'm chewing something out, now I'll do like sunflower seeds and I kind of eat and think. I'm eating, thinking, it allows my creativity to come forth because the snack is it emotionally, it soothes me. So it does double duties. You know what I mean? It also tells me that I'm over the top emotionally, but it calms me enough to be creative. Yes. Christian?
I have a quick question. Like when you said if you get your best thoughts, you say when you're snacking. Like I know this may sound weird, but it's okay. I get like my best thoughts when I'm in the shower.
Yeah, probably the water hitting you is soothing. Again, this is dealing with the senses. So that touch of the water, what you feel from that water is soothing to you. And it's just, for me, it's taste. You know, I'm an emotional eater. So I believe that when I was a little girl going through a lot of my emotional stuff, the one thing my great grandmother would do all the time is like when something was upsetting, she fixed us something to eat. That was her answer. That was her word. Well, you know, come on, get you something to eat, get some Kool-Aid, come on, sit down, get, you know. And children today, what is it? What do we do? What do we throw? We throw the television and video games and stuff in front of them. Go watch something. Go watch something on TV. Go turn TV on. And so now they're oversensitized with electronics because we use that as an emotional tool to soothe them. All right, so where we see we on when I touch blank, it reminds me of blank. When I touch blank, it reminds me of blank. When I touch my grandson, when I give my grandson a hug, it reminds me of the hugs that I used to get from my great grandmother. All right. These I won't allow you to speak to tell anyone else. These are just gentle reminders to yourself of who you are. And just so you know, our minds will always choose happiness, even when it's not always good for us. That's why a lot of people choose drugs. A lot of people choose alcohol. A lot of people choose sex it out. A lot of people choose to curse it out. Sometimes people choose not such good things such as snacks. You know what I mean? To feel a certain way, but because our minds will always choose happiness. And ungunning is a program or a tool, I would rather prefer to it as. I want this to be a positive tool that people choose other than those negative go-tos that the world has introduced to us. But until you know these things about yourself as to why you show up in this way with those senses, you will forget why you do what you do why it lands on you emotionally the way it lands on you. Until I thought about my childhood, I remember this. I couldn't really put it into words why I do what I do. So that's just some little tips, some little quick tips for yourself to remember about yourself. This was not all of what Ungun is, but this is a little sample. And I hope that this has helped. I hope you feel refreshed. I hope you feel like yourself again, because I feel like me. I hope you feel better.
Dr.
Yeah.
Dr. Casey,
Yes, ma'am.
I am wondering, I apologize. I need to eat, which is why my brain is
Yeah.
Did you already speak to us regarding like what's next, or were you making any announcements, or was this just more team development kind of day?
Well, the reason I decided to do this, and this was very last minute. At first, I wasn't even going to be on here long. I was hoping we can kind of get in and get off. And I see that we didn't do that. I apologize, but we're going to get off now. But I will say this. I went there because the rest of the stuff won't even matter if you don't know what it is. I feel like you all needed to kind of understand what Ungun is before we can get into that other part. How can I ask you to help me do something if you don't know what it is?
Yeah.
But the next thing is on Thursday, I will be speaking with Ben. Ben Bowler reached out to me and he wants to talk to me Thursday. And we're going to, I guess, get into the nut and bolts of what this looks like as to presenting this globally, and who and the when and the how much and all of those things. And so I will have more information, hopefully now by Friday or next week. But I at least wanted to share that much with you all, that it is moving forward and this is very exciting. And I have a lot that I need to kind of figure out and do and get down on paper and move it forward. The one thing that I am trying to do right now, honestly, in my mind, is keep it simple. And the reason that I want to keep it simple is that I want anyone, anywhere, at any time to be able to do this work without it seeming like it's overwhelming. I just believe in keeping things simple nowadays. People don't have a whole lot of time to go back to school for 8 years to learn something. You know, so that's kind of where I'm at. So these were like simple little things that we did today. And if you feel better or you feel relaxed or you feel ungunned in the sense of not emotionally all over the place, I mean, just with a head nod real quick, do you feel different than how you felt before you came okay. So then we know it works.
Yes.
So that's it for me, unless you all have any particular questions, and we can go ahead and Zoom off.
Well, thank you. Thank you. So good to see you all.
Everybody good?
Good to see you too.
Okay. If you have something personally that you want to call and tell me, feel free to do so. Okay. Bye-bye.